Hi, I'm Courtney,
And I'm Patrick.
and we are going to teach you how to bake a cake with fondant. For the fondant, you need Crisco vegetable shortening,
Kosher salt,
light corn syrup.
powdered sugar,
That is optional, but you want to cut up the Crisco, if you want to only, and you want to leave it out at room temperature so it gets nice and soft, so that when you pour your light corn syrup into the bowl, you start to mix it, and it's easy to mix in and it's not hard. We all know what it's like trying to butter your toast with cold butter. It's the worst. You want to mix it until there's almost no lumps in it.
very smooth.
Very smooth, and then you want to pour your salt in because you want to make sure it's smooth before you pour more of the
Powdered sugar.
the powdered sugar. Next, you want to sift in the powdered sugar, which sifting is a lot better than pouring. Some people say you can pour it, but I like to sift it in because it makes it softer and more fine and makes it easier to actually incorporate into the mixture. And it also makes if anything, the fondant stiffer, for lack of a better term. Next thing you want to do is, as it gets harder to stir, you want to start using your hands. And it doesn't stick. The corn syrup we would think would make it sticky, but it doesn't because of all the powdered sugar. And you want to knead it. It's got to turn into almost like pizza dough or
Play-Doh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you want to make, because you still have to put a whole bunch of more powdered sugar in it, you want to make a well, is what it's called, inside of the actual new fondant dough so that you can sift in more of the powdered sugar.
And then fold it together
You want
so
to
it's
fold
easier
it
to
all-
incorporate.
Fold it all on top of each other. So one, it's less messy when you incorporate it, and two, it's easier if it's already inside of like a pocket, kind of like a hot pocket. So just keep kneading it up. Next, you have to form your fondant into a ball and lay it in your bowl and lay parchment paper or something to seal it over.
Next is the all-purpose flour,
Cocoa,
baking soda,
kosher salt,
brown sugar,
granulated sugar,
butter,
sour cream,
eggs,
and vanilla frosting. The first thing you're going to do is mix together your dry ingredients because you add the wet ingredients slowly to make it more moist.
Then you take your water and your butter and you let the butter melt in the pan until it comes to a simmer.
Then you add the simmering butter-water mixture into your dry ingredients and electric mix the heck out of it until it's nice and smooth.
You take 2 eggs one at a time and whisk in each one with the electric mixer.
Be careful because there can be a lot of flyback when you're mixing it. Then you add the sour cream and you mix it again with the hand mixer. And you just keep mixing with the hand mixer until it's completely chocolatey because the sour cream will turn it white in spots. And you have all the dry ingredients picked up and it's completely smooth, almost no bubbles or chunks. Then you let all of the chocolate cake mixture fall off of your whisk so it makes easy cleanup later.
And after that, you grease your pans with some of the Crisco, the leftover Crisco, so that when you pour your cake into the pan, it doesn't stick.
Then you want to make sure your cake settles well so it is flat and even by shaking it and dropping it on the counter. You bake both of them in a convect oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. Next, you're going to color your fondant. It doesn't take a lot to color it. We used red to make the pink, and we used blue and green to make the teal. What you want to do is after you put the color in, you just knead it to get it together. You just knead the whole color in, and it will end up a really even, nice color. You want to make sure there's no swirlies in it. Once your cakes are done, you cut off the tops of them, make sure they're cool, stack them on top of each other, and lightly frost them with some of the vanilla frosting. Then to roll out your fondant, you want to cover a Silpat with Crisco, and we made sure that we made the whole fondant rough looking because Blink-182 is really rough around the edges, so we didn't make it perfect, so we didn't roll it out, we used our hands. Then we picked up the Silpat and just laid it right on top and peeled the Silpat away from the actual fondant, and then just cleaned it up from there by tucking the edges and ripping off the pieces that were excess that are hanging off the edge of the cake, as you can see. And we patted down on top of the cake to make sure that the fondant stuck to the frosting. We tucked up the edges a little bit, and then we started making the little decorations. The blue fondant that we made is put on the side. It's laying across and made a straight line because there's a rectangle on one side. And the other pink one was made into a square that we could lay along the bottom right corner because there's a square and a rectangle. And you want to make sure that you push it on there really, really hard so it sticks. Now you have yourself a cake that you can give to any Blink-182 fan. I know there are some people in the audience that are actually Blink-182 fans, and they will enjoy it if they love chocolate and yumminess and cake. So thank you.